Legendary lioness and dog owner Bethany England and TikTok star Ben the Vet are teaming up to lead a series of online classes aimed at educating new and expectant dog parents on responsible ownership in response to the surge in dog attacks and the ongoing debate surrounding irresponsible dog owners. And Bethany and Ben are both with us here. How are you today?
Yep, really well, thank you. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. So, what are both of your backgrounds and what was it that motivated you to initiate this new project?
One of the initiating factors was that so these puppy parenting classes that we're starting today are being run by Admiral and Burns, and they commissioned some research of new puppy owners, and they found that 3/4 of new puppy owners didn't feel prepared for getting a dog, and actually about 10% of them felt completely overwhelmed. So there's definitely a need there for a bit more education and information, heading in the direction of people getting a new pet.
And Bethany, you're a dog owner yourself, so how has your experience as a dog owner influenced your involvement in the project?
Yeah, as you touched on, I've got two wonderful, fluffy children. And for me, it was when obviously I was approached about the project, I thought it was an amazing thing to do because as we've seen in the press, like there's a lot of things going on around the XL bullies and how people cannot be managing their dogs well. And I think it's hugely important that you're aware of the factors that include coming with a new puppy and the challenges that you may face. I think, as Ben touched on, like 10% of people, well, 1 in 10, should I say, are really underwhelmed and not really expecting what they do when they do get a puppy for the first time. So for me, these parenting classes with Admiral and Burns are a great way and an initiative to help people be more prepared and helping that dog come into a much more stable environment and have a much happier life, knowing that they've been well trained, they're well educated on their eating habits, their dietary requirements and things like that. So for me, it's something that I'm very passionate about, and I would have liked this more when I was probably getting a dog myself. So hopefully this can help more people in the future.
One of the reasons that's been spoken about for the surge in dog attacks is that during the pandemic, a lot of people were getting dogs and there's kind of a surge in it. So to what extent do you think that has contributed to the rise in dog attacks and aggressive behaviour?
I think it's so easy to buy a dog. And you can just go online and have a dog within 48 hours, and that obviously presents some problems. I think this I think it's a two kind of pronged issue, really. I think part of the problem is that people are buying inappropriate dogs for them or being influenced by the wrong things. So there are people seeing there are people buying dog breeds like these American Bully XL dogs as status symbols, and buying them because they want them to be aggressive, and that is obviously a problem. And likewise, there are certain very popular breeds of dog that suffer with a lot of health problems, but people choose to buy them or are influenced by trends on social media, and maybe aren't aware of those things. And then there's also the side of the problem that is that people are just not buying these dogs, particularly when we're talking about aggressive dogs, large breed dogs, and not socializing them and training them appropriately when they're young, and so they just become out of control when they're adult.
And I suppose sometimes there's the issue of buying dogs from not a very reputable source or whatever. You buy a dog and it's not been trained properly, or it gets unwell very quickly. So I guess people need to do the research when they're buying a dog as well, don't they?
Yeah, so there are lots of things that people can think about when in those early stages. People should be doing a lot of thinking and research before they get the dog. They should be finding a responsible breeder. They should be visiting their dog ideally more than once before they make a firm decision, and really doing their homework. And there's lots of information available on websites like the PDSA, the RSPCA, all of those animal welfare so charities have a lot of tips on their websites of the sort of things you need to look for when you're getting a dog to make sure you're not caught out.
Yes. Now, absolutely, there are a lot of positive sides to having a dog. And Bethany, of course, you're a very successful professional athlete. So what are some of your experiences with balancing sports and dog ownership? And does having a dog actually help in a way?
I think having a dog massively helps. I would say I would touch on the mental health aspect of when things are quite tough for me. The best thing is coming home to my dogs, and they're just always the tails wagging. They're just so happy to see you, and I think it can really affect your mood and change things. And for me, dogs are just, yeah, they're the best thing ever. And I think finding that balance is really important. So for myself, I was quite fortunate that I had good support around me. So obviously having to go away on football trips and tournaments can be quite challenging. And I'm not really someone that likes to just palm my dogs off to random people. I'd always make sure there's something in place, whether that be I've got a partner, my family are able to help out, or even if you do go to like a doggy daycare, I think it's making sure that these dogs are well, like you're not just doing it for the first time, you're doing it gradually and making them comfortable in those environments rather than just throwing them into a kennel or things like that. So for me, I would say it's being prepared of knowing where you're going to put your dog and making sure that you trust where they're going and that it's safe for them, because you don't want to put them in an environment that they don't know, that they're scared of, and become withdrawn or aggressive because they don't understand what's going on around them. So as much as I could would be socializing them in different situations, whether that be at a doggy daycare or with trusting my family members to know how my dogs are looked after.
Absolutely. Now, what is the actual content and advice that we can expect from these classes?
So there are 6 classes over the next 2 weeks. I'm involved in a couple, Beth's involved in a couple, but we also have a dog behaviourist and some other vets also involved in the classes. So the first one today is Ask the Vet class, and we're giving general tips on people getting a puppy, what to expect when they're bringing them home, talking about the need for vaccinations, regular health checks, things like neutering them. So those kind of things that you really need to think about in the first month or so of having a puppy. But yeah, all these classes will have different information in them, and obviously Beth's going to be running some classes as well. So I think she's going to be sharing a lot of her own experiences of having a puppy.
Because you've got the pull of having a lioness on board. So do you think this will make a lot of people more interested? Because of course dog owners probably should be thinking about this, but if they're not, it's going to make them more likely to.
Yeah, I think so. I think, when you, one of the reasons I got on board with this is that I've got 2 children, human children at home. Who are 4 months old and 2 years old. And before we had the first, we did antenatal NCT classes, and we found them to be hugely helpful. When you have a child, you have that, most of 9 months where they're on the way, and you can prepare mentally and think about all the things that are going to be involved with having a child. But when you have a dog, often these decisions, you don't necessarily think about them over 7 months. That might be quite an impulsive decision. But so having something like these classes is just such a great resource for people, just to give them a bit of information when they've just got a dog or are planning to get one in the short term.
And with the virtual format of these classes, I guess it's accessible to a huge amount of people.
Yeah, absolutely. It's anyone can sign up. It's completely free for people to join the classes. There are 6 of them, and they start today. So the first one is at 5 o'clock. So
nice.
Anyone who wants to join can do so. You can go on the Admiral or Burns Facebook pages or their websites to join, or I've shared the links on my social media. So I'm Ben the Vet on TikTok and Instagram if anyone wants to sign up.
Excellent. Well, where can we go for more information? Is it just your Instagram, or are there other resources we can find as well?
So obviously there'll be a lot of information shared in the classes, and I share a lot of pet tips and talk about a lot of talk about my job and things on my social media. But there are great resources online. If you go on to the websites of the PDSA, the RSPCA, the Kennel Club, they have lots of useful information on their website. So well worth looking at those.
Excellent. Well, many thanks to both of you for coming on today.
Great to talk to you.
Thank you very much.